Once he didn't have the swagger and the confidence, he's just a small guy who's not that athletic and not that accurate.
Didn't work out in Cleveland. Certainly didn't work out in Carolina. I hope it works out some way. I can't imagine that it's going to work out with the Bucs.
Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are shocking the world as we speak. Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Chicago Bears. I mean, it was an edge of your seat kind of performance from start to finish, with the Bucs coming out on top, 27-17, bagging their second straight victory of the season. You got to give it up to them for holding down the fort to the last minute. Now, when we dissect Baker Mayfield's performance, the man was on fire, hitting 26 of 34 with a massive 317 yards and chalking up a touchdown. Mike Evans, an absolute unit, hauling in 6 catches for an astronomical 171 yards and getting himself into the end zone. And we will not overlook Raschaad White. The guy was steady with a respectable 73 yards on the ground, averaging 4.3 yards per carry, and also landing in the end zone. From the get-go, it was clear that Tampa Bay meant business, straight business, right off the bat. With Evans and Godwin clinching those crucial third down conversions, they set a determined pace, even brushing past near turnovers with a close shave on a fumble and a nearly intercepted pass. Still, they managed to pocket a neat 3 points courtesy of McLaughlin's 26-yarder. And you heard all week how the Bears were supposed to bounce back from their Week 1 loss and get their lick back on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Week 2. Everyone in the media was saying that the Bucs' Week 1 victory was a fluke and that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are actually frauds. And with all that being wrong, we fast forward to the Bucs' next possession. We saw Mayfield pull a Houdini, dodging a sack and rushing for 8 yards, with Godwin pushing the line with a brilliant 24-yard catch. But they lost some momentum with a blocked field goal, leaving the door open for the Bears to take control at midfield. But look what happened next. The Bucs defense came to play, with Shaq Barrett breaking through the lines like a man possessed. And then you had Joe Tryon playing like an absolute madman, ensuring the Bears left empty-handed. What followed was magic, with a Mayfield-Evans connection working wonders, setting up Raschaad White with a textbook touchdown, flipping the script in favor of the Bucs at 10-7. Who was predicting this Buccaneers performance? Who in the media? Stephen A. Smith? Was it Nick Wright? Was it Skip Bayless? All the greats, all the TV personalities that were talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. No. I for sure can guarantee you that the only thing that was associated with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers was Caleb Williams, quarterback out of USC. Buccaneers are supposed to have the first-round draft pick due to intentional tanking. But that doesn't happen when Baker Mayfield joins your roster. There's no such thing as tanking when Mike Evans and Chris Godwin is still on your team. Todd Bowles, are you kidding me? Tanking? It's so beautifully demonstrated how literally the media has no idea what happens in-house. The whole world was discussing how Caleb Williams will be living in Tampa Bay for the next 10 years. But the narrative has changed. I can tell you right here and right now that Baker Mayfield will not allow Caleb Williams to enter the doors of Tampa Bay. I know who could have predicted this hot start for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Cornerback Carlton Davis, who actually went viral and was ridiculed for, quote, saying that the post-Tom Brady Buccaneers will have the NFL in for a rude awakening. This team always believed. Tampa Bay always believed. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers beat the Bears in Week 2. The final score reads out 27-17. But let's be honest, this game was an exhibition for the Bucs. Sheer dominance over the Bears. A performance that silenced critics and doubters, taking them 2-0 start to the season, a start nobody except for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers believed in. For the team was already secured the spot of the weakest link in the NFC South. That script has changed. Todd Bowles has won Super Bowls as both a player and a coach. The defense, I mean, it's menacing, it's terrifying. It's a unit that oppositions are going to dread facing. We are looking at a defense that could very well be the second best right now. The way they've been hunting down quarterbacks, sealing off running lanes, it's been nothing short of exceptional. Yes, there might be concern over depth, and injuries could potentially slow them down, but from what we've seen so far, this is a unit that has responded ferociously to unique threats. Next, we have to talk about the maturation and the evolution of Baker Mayfield himself, who has firmly secured his spot as the starting quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. No more Kyle Trask rumors. I'm over that. That was always capped from the jump. Now we've got to admit Baker Mayfield had us all raising our eyebrows after a shaky start in his debut week with the Buccaneers. But come week 2, that man has effectively thrown that uncertainty out the window. He is running at defenders looking for contact. He is telling grown men on the defense to get their weight up. Baker Mayfield is a different breed. He is a different style of quarterback. He is turning to what we all believed he could become if he didn't go to Cleveland. And I need to talk about this. Look, Cleveland is a terrible franchise. A terrible, terrible franchise. And Baker Mayfield took them to the playoffs. He can do the same for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but we move on. Despite some conservative play calls in the second half, orchestrated that offense like a seasoned veteran, delivering plays that counted the most, showcasing a remarkable 76% completion rate. Folks, it's time we let Baker Mayfield into the conversation of one of the top 15 quarterbacks in the league. He's on the brink of it. He's showing the world that he deserved that number 1 overall pick. Moving on, let's talk about the offensive line. Yes, they held the fort, not giving up a single sack to the Bears, which on paper looks impressive, but we got to give credit where credit is due. Mayfield, the man, was a wizard under pressure, pulling off plays that essentially masked the cracks in the offensive line. It's evident that these two major pieces, Baker Mayfield and the offensive line, have glued together and created a perfect balance for when one lacks, the other one supports. It's evident to keep those deep ball deliveries coming, the line needs to continue to give Baker Mayfield time. And in the same threat, Baker Mayfield needs to continue to get the ball out in timely manners. And then the beautiful, beautiful running game. It has seen improvements, no doubt. Remember last year, no running game, it was non-existent. Steps in Raschaad White, who showcased a commendable performance both as a runner and a receiver, giving us glimpses of what could be for the future of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers running game. But folks, we are just scratching the surface here. If you tweak some adjustments and we could unlock a running game that could elevate the Bucs offense to a whole new level that we haven't seen since we need any of that in Tampa. Everything is working correctly. You still have the Super Bowl defense